Before we get into this video, trust me when I say this from my own experience, that life can end in an instant and life can dramatically shift in a fleeting moment. So if you have any people or any family or friends out there that require your love, that you would like to extend love to, then I would implore you to do so as quick as possible. If you have any arguments or any resentments that you're holding that feel unnecessary, or you're holding guilt and shame towards them, I would quench them and I would work on those relationships as soon as I could, because you don't want to hold those regrets when you get towards the end. And if you have any dreams that you're trying to manifest or that you see in your future that you might not necessarily be working towards right now because you feel distracted, well then I would do everything in your power to work towards them, because I've had the experience of lying on my deathbed. I've had those last moments before going in to have my brain cut open, and I do understand that you can be filled with why nots and regrets and also many positive things. But yeah, if you have any family and friends that need your love, then go and hug them and tell them that you love them and work on your dreams, because it'll make you feel fulfilled. So let's get into the video. So today I'm going to break down for you what it felt like for me to have a brain tumour and all of the chaos that ensued throughout that process. The reason why I'm making this video is, well, I suppose simply because I find it a very interesting story. Not everybody's going to have a brain tumour, thankfully, or a pineocytoma specifically. And I feel like it would be interesting for anybody to witness what that felt like on the human condition and the human psyche. And number two, and most importantly, I feel as though, given the fact that I survived that experience and have built myself back up to a place in life where I feel grateful and I feel joy again, and as well as lots of stress and pressure like anybody else does in life, I feel I can stand here as a beacon of hope for anybody that is experiencing something like a brain tumour, a pineocytoma, or any other illness or difficulty in life. I can stand here and say, hey, it can be better and you can get through this. So if I don't get to certain parts of this story that you'd like me to expand on, or if there's anything I say in a fleeting glance that you'd like me to expand on, then please feel free to leave a comment and I'll answer that in a future video. Or if you don't want to comment, leave a direct message on my Instagram or Facebook or email, and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. So let me explain to you what a pineocytoma is. A pineocytoma is a tumour that grows on the pineal gland in the centre of one's brain. My surgeon informed me that mine was growing from birth, and it consistently grew until I was 23, and it started to provide me with some symptoms. Generally, a pineocytoma will disrupt the pineal gland, it will disrupt the thalamus, which is like a neural pathway between the body and the mind, the brain, and also it will disrupt your optical nerves, as well as a host of other symptoms that developed all over the body, because the aqueduct sylvius is where the cerebrospinal fluid flows, and that's like a neuromotorway throughout your brain that is allowing your brain to connect with all parts of your body. So I was experiencing symptoms that were very strange. So let me break down the early onset symptoms. I'm going to try and glance over this as quick as possible because I could talk for an hour on this subject, but essentially I was 23. I moved over to Canada and I had a tumour on my pineal gland, which was filled with 80% mass, 20% liquid. So on the plane over, which was 16 hours, like a Coke can would swell, the liquid within the tumour swelled itself and began to display some symptoms. I first felt like I was very, very drunk or on some form of relaxer when I got off the plane. I was wobbling and my balance was off. I had to say that to a friend, and I just expected it to be jet lag, but that wasn't the case. I just did not know that, and eventually then a couple of weeks later everything was quite normal, but I was feeling strange sensations around my body. It started off with my optical nerves being damaged, so my vision was going blurry and the world would rock for a couple of seconds every few minutes, and I knew immediately something drastic was happening, but I was in denial and I was very young and naive and I didn't really listen to my body for the first 6 months or so. After that, I went into perennial numbness. I had numbness all over my legs, in my saddle area, and I had tingling sensations around my body as well, which were becoming quite alarming. But I was working full time, and I was still trying to be a 23-year-old and drink and get through it, so kind of denial. And I have an episode right here about denial. If you are going through something like that, you can watch that. So there was lots of mood swings. I was feeling erratic. I was feeling manically depressed at times, but then also I was feeling manic bouts of excitement and energy as well. It was very strange, and I was out of control in terms of my mental instability. I had severe anxiety over those 6 months, to the point where I was not able to leave the house without thinking I was having a heart attack at times. The reason why this was happening was because my autonomic nervous system was also damaged from this tumour, so my heart was skipping a beat literally every 30 seconds at times throughout the entire illness, and still continues to do so sometimes when I'm under bouts of stress. I spoke about having manic mood swings. The internal voice was very, very scary. So I was working on a building at the time using drills, and I was drilling a massive drill into a wall, and I could hear my voice and I couldn't hear the drill because my internal voice was so jumbled and scary. And you know, these are all warning signs. It's like your body's telling you that there's something wrong with it. You need to listen, and the mind will start to do so if the body is not strong enough to make you listen. So yeah, after that there was many sleepless nights, and I suppose there was a deep internal awareness that something drastic was very, very wrong with me. So that's about everything for the kind of beginning phases. If you are going through any experiences like that, then I would implore you to seek professional help as soon as you can. So let me break down some of the more severe symptoms that I was experiencing when I had a brain tumour. After I came home, I had to come home to become diagnosed, and then I would go on to suffer for 2 years before having it invasively removed, because it was, killing me. So again, 18 hours, 16-hour flight on the way back from Canada. Brain tumour expands and causes way, way, way more severe symptoms to begin. Immediately, once I got off the plane, it was confirmed that there was something growing in my brain or in my head. At the time, I would explain it like there was little mini people inside my brain blowing balloons, which was causing severe cranial pressure. And I suppose it wasn't horrendously painful at that point. However, it did continue to get more and more painful very quickly, actually. Break it down as quick as I can, because I'm trying to make this short format, but essentially, there was a lot of cranial pressure. The brain swells because of the pineocytoma. It's blocking the cerebrospinal fluid from properly adjusting its way through and from your brain, and it caused a lot of swelling and a lot of cranial pressure, which caused a lot of optical issues, sensitivity to light, sensitivity to sound. And how I would explain it to people back then, and continue to, is that, imagine you're on a drinking bender for a day or two, you haven't slept, and you've also been taking some stimulants to keep yourself awake, and eventually you get to the point where it's time to go to bed, and then you try to go to bed and your brain hurts so much that you can't sleep. Your eyes are sore, your ears are sore, your nose is sore, you feel so sad and depleted. And that's generally how I felt all the time when I had the tumour. I also had severe fatigue, to the point that, sometimes I couldn't get out of bed for days. I would just continue to try my best to exist, and the optical issues would get worse and worse. So the wobbles became more consistent, the blurry vision became more consistent, sensitivity to light became more consistent. There was a lot of sleepless and restless nights where I would have my heart skipping beats every 30 seconds. So I would literally jump out of the bed throughout a lucid dream. I'd be dripping sweat, full of breathlessness. And that was terrifying. It really was. The dreams were also terrifying. They were very indicative of someone who was on the way out. I had seizures, which was towards the end. My dad would stay awake at night and try and watch me just in case I was having a seizure in my sleep. I didn't have too many seizures during the day, thankfully, but I did have one massive seizure in a hospital and had a near-death experience, and some really crazy experience that I'll talk about in a future short-term video. But essentially, there wasn't much to be done in life back then. I stayed in my room most of the time, and I went to the swimming pool as much as I could because the water took the pressure off the tumour. So if you do have a tumour in your brain, go swimming, go lie down in a pool of water. It takes the pressure away. It's the only thing that worked for me, and I would spend as much time as I could in there. But you know, every time you go for a walk, every time you go for a swim, it's like, is this my last breath? Is this my last moment? And most certainly towards the end, I knew deep down that my life was literally fading every day by day. And yeah, it was extremely, extremely difficult to get through. I think I've gone through as many symptoms as I can think of. Okay, so essentially that was my experience with a pineocytoma. I've glanced over as much of it as I possibly can in short format, but again, if you do need some more information with regards to it, or you need to reach out, leave a comment in the comment section. Please like the video, and you can also reach out to me on symbioticvibration@gmail.com, or the Instagram, or Facebook, or even TikTok. I'll get back to you if I can, and if I don't get back to you, I'll try and answer your question in a future video. But yeah, I hope this was informative, and I hope it was helpful. And again, if you are experiencing any suffering, any pain, any journey, and you feel that I can help you in any way, or you want to reach out to the comment sections and hope that somebody will answer, then I hope that, well, this is very relatively early in the community, but I hope that when you are reaching out, somebody does respond. I most certainly will. But you know, maybe you're watching this 5 years down the future, and we already have developed this beautiful community, and there's many, many people here to help you. So that's about it. Yeah, I'm going to make a lot more short format videos. I'm really happy to do so, and I love you all, and I'll see you on the next one.